will come to order. I'm going to review the procedure guidelines for the meeting. In the absence of a public speaking policy, the following rules are in place for those who wish to address the board. The public comment period will be for a maximum of 30 minutes. Anyone wishing to speak will sign in and be recognized. And the paper is going around, I'm assuming, somewhere over here. Okay. Each recognized person will have 3 minutes to comment to the board. The board reserves the right to respond to any comments within appropriate time limits. Verbal respect to the board, area agency of aging employees, and visitors must be maintained. The chairman may adjourn the meeting if the meeting becomes ineffective. I'd like to welcome our visitors to this meeting. Thank you all for coming. We will have a moment of silence for our personal reflection. Thank you. There will be a roll call now of the advisory board. Kathleen Lakeday, that's me, present. Gloria Hemmer. Here. Dolores Bertuzzi. Here. Martha Brown.
Here.
Gretchen Ferrari. Here. Tara Crawford. Mary Ann Dandos. Don Kroll.
Here.
Ronnie Lucas. Jean Lloyd.
Here.
Bob Lutz.
Here.
Charlotte Lutz.
Here.
Mr. McCarrier. Here. Sue Murray.
Here.
Judy Nye.
Here.
Tim Sheckler. Carol Stoltz.
Here.
Catherine Tremay.
Here.
Baglio. Thank you. The minutes, I'm assuming, were emailed to everyone. Is that correct, Ms. Ward? You have read the minutes. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes as sent to us in the last meeting? May I have a motion to approve the minutes then, if none?
I so moved.
Okay. So we have Judy and Gloria. Is there any old business that the board would like to discuss? None being, then any new business for the board? None. We ask for the administrator's report.
When are we going to do the public hearing after my report?
Yes.
Okay. I want to welcome everyone for coming today. It's so nice to see everybody and so many friendly, familiar faces. And we're going to be in tape today, so that's even more wonderful. There is homemade banana bread that I made over there. I didn't realize we'd have so many. I would have made 2 loaves, but please help yourselves. When you're done, my 12-year-old helped me, so please enjoy it. Sure, her feelings will be hurt if there's any left. I wanted to go over a few things with you. Let me get my agenda. Sorry about that. I was out this morning before this meeting. Hi, Ronnie. How are you? Ronnie Lucas. Okay. All right. We have been collecting a lot of data regarding the senior centers. We're continuing to collect that data and to look at that data as to what seniors are wanting in centers, the hours that they're looking at operating. We've been going out to the senior centers and talking to them. We've been looking at them physically also, at the numbers, what we can support, what we can't support. and really talking to each center and to organizations that are part of those senior centers to see what we can do to increase the attendance, to get more people in, and to really let all them know what you guys all know, how wonderful the senior centers are. And that is our goal, and that we really have been looking at it for probably about 2 years or so. I'll give you a little bit of background since you haven't all been here. And actually, really, when I started 3.5 years ago, that was one of the things that we really were going to look into. But there were some other things that we needed to, that the board can support with that needed looked into at that time. The agency at that particular time was $320,000 in the hole. There were some very serious issues with our protective service division at that point in time that caused some massive staffing changes and some massive training issues on my part. Because protective service is a very vital part of those that we serve in the county. And we probably get between 15 to up to 20, sometimes more than that, reports every week of individuals that are being physically, sexually, emotionally abused. We have a lot of financial neglect that's going on, and just self-neglect. So that took a lot of training of our staff. Our staff totally turned over in that area, and that took probably a good six months to a year to get that up to where we wanted. We also needed to be looking at our option services and really looking at some of our staffing patterns. So when this year started, this was kind of the year that we kind of thought we would charge in the senior centers and really look at them. Not that we hadn't looked at them in the past. Last year we had started informational gathering. We had went around to some other counties, looked at how their senior centers were running across the state, not just in neighboring counties. We really started talking to other organizations as to how they run their centers and what is going on with them. And even the fundraising aspect we have been really looking at. That 20% was set up back in 2010 by Lisa Monday prior to me arriving at the AAA. That was a contract that went into effect July 1st of 2011. And in that contract, it was a 20% self-sufficiency was set up for the senior centers at that point in time. And it's taken me a while to figure out all the history because, you know, it was before I came and there was a lot of things been going on. That 20% was set up and it went into effect in July 1st of 2011. And I was hired October 24th of 2011. So it had been in effect several months from the time that I hired. And I keep looking at Gloria because Gloria's been here through the whole thing, and so has Billy Joe. So and Martha, you know a lot of it, and Sue. We were trying to get our house in order at that particular time, and at the end of that year, we had made some changes. Inside structurally, there was a fund that we had, and we had asked the state if we could use that money to help cover some of that $320,000 we had. And at the end of that year, we had decided that senior centers were in the midst of looking at how they can grow, how they can better serve. We were working with Lutheran Senior Services that was running the centers at that particular time. And at that time, and according to that contract, LSS got 10% of all the fundraising money that was fundraised, and we at the aging office, I did not feel right taking any money. We did not take any of that fundraising in 2011, 2012. We gave that back to the centers that went for purchasing new items for the center, for bus trips, for picnics, for different things that they had in the center. 2012, 2013, we really worked with LSS even a little bit more closely, putting that goal of that 20% self-sufficiency in there to help fundraise and help offset some of the costs of their centers. And the centers did well. We did some anti-bullying campaigns in some of the centers, and we did that with the managers because we had some kind of turf issues in some of the centers, for lack of a better word, and we wanted them to be more welcoming places. That went over well. And we really started working with the seniors on that fundraising. Again, at the end of that year, we had gotten some additional funding from the state at the end of that year that I had went out and advocated for, and we did not take any of the fundraising money again that year. It was, we knew that come 2013, 14, that's where I'm at now, was the year that we were going to really start focusing. We were going to look at different centers, and so no fundraising was taken. During that 13, 14, we did put in on an RFP for a new management company. That's a request for a proposal for a new management company. Not that we didn't want LSS to be doing it, but LSS was having some difficulty. Our numbers weren't quite where they wanted, and we just didn't know, put it out for bid, see if they had another plan coming in of how to revitalize it, or if another company would maybe be able to come in and help revitalize that. So July 1st of 2014, the new management company took over, which is Nutrition Inc. They took over at that time. We lowered the self-sufficiency at that time to a 15%, notifying the management companies that 6 months into the year, we would look at their numbers, what has been fundraised, where we are at financially. Because when we set our budget come July, we don't have our firm numbers from the state of what we're getting. We don't get those numbers till probably...
Well, we get two budgets. We get an original budget, and that's usually around September, and then we will get an amended budget, and that's usually around March. Is when we get our
So
final
when we
budget
set
for the
those
year.
goals, we don't know what we're getting in our budget. So we told them 6 months into it, we give them 6 months to kind of get their feet wet, kind of get up and running, and we would look into it once they had their numbers for that first 6 months. Because it was a big transition for them, it was a transition for you guys, and can you just...
Okay.
Yeah. So at 6 months into it, which would have been December, again to December, they got their numbers to us probably mid-March. And we have been looking at it, we have our numbers from the state, and we are looking at that self-sufficiency, and it's looking like we will lower it to about
Between 5 to 7%.
around 5 to 7%. We have additional funding that we can cover that. So the self-sufficiency goes down substantially. Last year, though, at the end of the year, all of the senior centers had met their fundraising goals according to LSS's records before the new company took over. The report that they gave us that all centers had met that. We, at that point in time, took 9% of that, left the 11% an additional funding for the centers, and that 9% that we took went towards the management costs this year for the senior centers. So we pay about...
We pay around $400,000
a year for the management costs. So 33,000 of that we took went right towards the management company for the senior centers. So that money went towards that. The additional money went back to the senior centers, which some of the centers are buying. Well, I told you we're looking for your noodle makers now. They sent me a picture of the noodle makers they want. It's going to, or in the midst of getting bids for iPads for the centers. Some of them wanted laptops, the wireless PA systems, because some of you, I can't talk loud enough when I'm there, and they crack. So we're getting the wireless PA systems. There was a Cricket machine. Some centers, they provided, I'll explain what it is because that's what I have when I saw it. We got wish lists from each center. The managers talked to the individuals, and the Cricket machines are those machines that make out like the shamrocks and make out different decorations. One of the centers has a Cricket machine, and they really like it. Do you have a Cricket machine?
I know my own.
Okay, well we're getting Cricket machines. You showed me your Cricket machine down there, didn't you?
I had it in.
Yes. Yeah, I think you showed me.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I know that Mars has a Cricket machine that they use down there, but they really like it for decorations, for little favors and different things like that. So some of the centers wanted a Cricket machine. Some of them wanted some new colored copiers. So with that money, or bus trips, I think Mount Chestnut's going on a bus trip, Cranberry's looking at a bus trip. I think I just approved 4 or 5 bus trips. So that money can go towards trips for you to go on, picnics, different things. Now, some of the things that we did get on our wish list, we did not approve. I think some of the centers wanted an automatic drink dispenser like they have at like at Dairy Queen or at Sam's Club. But we couldn't figure out an affordable way to have those types of machines. One center wanted a theater-style popcorn machine. We didn't purchase that right away because we wanted to look into that. And 2 of the centers wanted salad bars. And we're continuing to look into the salad bar thing, just because there's a lot of issues that when you get into salad bars. But most of the items that came in on the wish list, that's what that money goes towards. So looking at our budget, looking at plus we've done things to help save money over the years with the senior centers, and one of those things would be when we put it out for RFP, that lowered some of the management costs that we have. Also, when we put it out for RFP for the new contract, there was things that was rolled into that contract that many of you may not have been aware of. When it was with LSS, the whole paper product issue, especially in Shakora, that was a big one. Shakora and Evans City had to buy some of their toilet paper and their paper products. That was one thing when that new contract went in, that I made sure that that management company, that the paper products and the cleaning products were covered under that contract. Now, the mistake that occurred with that, and I can take full blame for that, I knew it was in the contract, is that when the new management company came in, they hired many of the old managers that had been at the center, which was good, or the old managers that were there trained the new managers. And they did not realize that people would bring toilet paper and they pay them out of petty cash, or they would order it. They did not realize that of that line item in that budget. So thankfully, Commissioner Eckstein brought that up at a meeting, and I was able to look into that. And all your autonomy funds got reimbursed for that. We would have caught it in March when we were going over the numbers anyway. But the paper products then are reimbursed. So you were not to be paying for paper products as of July 1st. That was one thing that we had promised you in the contract that we would take care of. The other thing we put in there was cleaning products. That the management company now pays for all of the cleaning products. The one thing that we're looking into now is, according to a lot of the contracts, and they started probably over 10 years ago, there's a thing on Fridays that the managers will dry mop the floors and clean them. That's one of the things that we're talking about. We talked with Shakora when we talked to them about the necessity for that, or if other things can be done. Because that's a big amount. I'm just looking at the Shakora people, because that's a lot of time she spends scrubbing those floors. And it's not just you, it's the Boy Scouts, it's different people that use that site. So talking to the Shakora Moose, that's one thing they're not going to require us to do anymore. If there's a spittle, you'll Swifter it. You know, I say Swifter, I don't know what we'll use, but I use at home Swifter. But there won't be that putting the chairs all up and mopping the floors the way it is. So through this process, we have learned many valuable things through your centers. And we're looking at ways to be able to keep them as close to what we are. The one thing that we are going to present to the board, they're not going to vote today. They have a month to kind of be looking at questions they might have, and we want comments from the community also, is having your two main hubs, one in Butler, one in Cranberry, and having the tentacles that come out of it. Because we realize that those tentacles are very, very important to communities such as Shakora, such as Slippery Rock. That's been part of our plan that we've had, because we know that those are needed. But maybe not in the 5 days. Like when we've talked to Shakora, the majority of the people in Shakora, they don't attend 5 days. They only attend generally 1 to 3, some 4 or 5, but reducing that center to 3 days a week. Having Slippery Rock, instead of being 5 days, being 3 days. Keeping Mount Chestnut at 2 days. That would be my recommendation to the board. Down when you have Evans City, lowering Evans City down to 3 days. They had even said 2. I said, let's try 3 and see how 3 works. Our hope is that instead of having it scattered all through the days, because we have certain days that are very low in attendance, but birthday party days, we're bursting at the seam on birthday party days. That if you're there for 3 days, people make an effort to come on those 3 days. Fridays are very low attendance in many centers. We found that people get their hair done on Friday, there's fish fries on Friday that they're helping with, their grandkids are coming in, there's things that they're doing on Friday. So Friday attendance is very low. So why would we increase the cost of running those centers on days that people aren't really there? By lowering the cost of the centers, that lowers how much we need to fundraise to help support the centers also. We are also in talks with Passavant. We went down to talk to Luther Court, and we talked to some of the executives at Passavant. Since that center is located on the Passavant campus, most of the people that attend that center are residents, live in that high-rise, or live in those houses that they have behind Passavant. Passavant already provides activities in that center. They have that wonderful new building that has the pool, and they have the exercise classes. They have some of those things. So we're looking at developing a partnership with them where we would provide the meals, and they would take over more of the management of the center, since they have the social workers and the activity workers that are down there. That population is mostly Zilly. We have talked to West Sunbury Church. West Sunbury Senior Center was set up as an endowment when somebody passed away, and that was quite some time ago. Probably 8 years ago, long before I came, and it was to set up to run a senior center there till that money ran out. That's how I am understood, that's how the church is understood how that senior center was to run. we are looking at providing of entering into a partnership with that church. They would like to take over running it, and we would provide the meals to them. They're 2 days a week that they're open. So we're in talks with the church at West Sunbury. Winfield, we're also looking at Winfield. Winfield is a combination of some personal care homes that bring individuals together. So we're looking at talking to the personal care homes that are down there to see what best meets those needs down there. So it's keeping that community aspect in some of the centers, but in your Shakur, or in your Butler and your Cranberry, having it that we could potentially expand those hours and expand the services that are in there to offer some things that we're getting some comments back that we would like. There's suggestions that we get for caregiver support groups, for grief support groups, for support groups of individuals that have, and all families have this, like, I don't want to say all, but how to deal with grandchildren or children that are into drug and alcohol issues. That's becoming an issue that we're seeing a lot with our financial abuse cases that we have in the county. A lot of our financial abuse cases go back in some sort to a drug or alcohol related problem. But to have 10 different support groups located all through the county, you're not going to get a lot of people. So if we could have them more centralized. The state is mandating us now to have a dietitian, so we are looking at what the best way is for us to have a dietitian, not full-time. They're mandating us to do educational programs and having support groups in the senior centers. And we're getting some requests for diabetic support groups are always a big one, but we're getting one for post-gastric bypass support groups. We're getting it for different diets that have come in, not per se a Weight Watchers or a Jenny Craig type program, because sometimes those are too expensive for our seniors to do on their own, but healthy eating type classes, much like the TOPS class that they have down at Tanglewood that is so good. And really looking at increasing the exercise programs, because we're getting back from the community that they really want a variety of classes. I was down talking to the Silver Sneakers today at Tanglewood. That is a wonderful program that they have. And we are working with them that right now it's only a contract that they have with Highmark. Silver Fit is another component which is through UPMC. So anyone can go to Silver Sneakers, whether you have Highmark or you don't have Highmark, you can go to that program free of charge. We're looking at expanding that because there's many other programs that once we started about a month ago looking at expanding some of those classes, we did enter into an agreement with the YMCA to provide some enhanced exercise classes, and that came from some of the physicians that we have in the area, especially some of our joint replacement physicians and some of our gerontologists that we have. They wanted some type of exercise program that those who have had a joint replacement could go to, such as the warm water aerobics classes that they have down there. They have a warm water pool that you can do walking programs in, different things like that. And it is a wonderful program. I know when I was pregnant with my third child, I was having some health issues, and the water aerobic classes that they have down there are very beneficial for whether you've had a knee replacement, whether you had a mild stroke, or whether you just have some mobility type issues. So we did enter into an agreement to provide Y memberships to individuals over the age of 60 that their insurance doesn't cover it, and that they can attend enhanced exercise classes at no problem. Because we know how important those healthy step classes are, but not everybody can go to them at the current times that they're at. So we're looking at expanding some of those classes. And these two individuals back here, they've been going to Healthy Steps for probably 10 or 12 years, and they're in their 80s, and they look just wonderful. They're like a true testimony of how wonderful the Silver Sneaker programs can be. So those are some of the things that we are looking at right now. We're developing a list from the information we get back of what people want, what people need, and then we will probably in the next six months or so look at where those needs can best be met. We're not saying those needs can't be met where those centers currently are. That they might be met there with no problem. But we are in the informational gathering phase right now of where those two main hubs would be. But right now where they are is where they're at, and we will look at working with those organizations to enhance it by suggesting, and the board will think about it, and we'll vote on that next month, that's a way to lower the management costs so that we can continue the way that we are with those centers. So that's kind of my center.
So are you saying there's a chance that no senior citizen centers will be closed? That's like in your last statement here.
Right. We're not looking at closing it, and we're looking at maybe changing. I'm going to recommend to the board, and they have a month to think about it, as to lowering the amount of days and the people that they might serve. Just because if you go to some of them, there's higher days that are higher attendance,
Yes.
and there's some days that are lower attendance. So that way we would be able to lower the cost to be able to continue some of those programs. Nancy, I didn't mean to cut you short before.
I just, if I don't ask the question, I don't remember the question.
I know. Nancy and I worked a long time together
Yeah.
as nurses.
Amend and re-amend, is that what you said? They, in March, and then down here, they.
Oh, we get two budgets. The state gives us a preliminary budget, and they basically say, these are the numbers that you tentatively work off of, okay? But in March, we get what's called our final budget.
Okay.
And at that time, these are the final numbers that the state gives us of monies that we're to spend.
So
Okay.
Sometimes we get more money at that time,
Right.
sometimes they take away money. But our beginning budget is just.
We budget for the worst case scenario at
Right.
that point in time.
Exactly.
So when Lisa
All right,
and them
that's
had
good.
put it
I
in for that
understand
20%, that was worst case scenario. And at that point in time, they were running a really tight budget.
Yeah.
We want to lower it to, we lowered it to 15. We're now looking with our budget and some of the changes that we've made, they can be down to 5 or 7%. But Nancy, our budget might come in when we get it, and we might be looking at other numbers, and that we might be able to give it all back again. We just don't want to get behind the 8 ball and then not have enough money
Yeah.
to cover programs that we have. Does that
Yeah,
make
I
sense?
understand. I just didn't know what
Exactly.
you meant, that's all.
Nancy, it took me forever to understand it too, so don't think, and I live it every day. I had to get down into that basement over there, all in the mold, and go through things to understand it. So, it's been a learning episode for all of us. But I think, I don't think anybody was here. Gloria, were you in some of my interviews that I had downtown?
No.
I don't know who, that was you were, and that was one of the things I brought up with senior centers and revitalizing them and making them really good resources for individuals. Senior centers are a wonderful, wonderful thing. I mean, I've been a nurse for 26 years, and I know that going through the aging process is very difficult for people. And if we can have a resource, if we can have some staff members that are out there, not just on our 8:30 to 4:30, but in the evenings and in the weekends that can help people, then if I can prevent a train wreck, and I for lack of a better word, that's sometimes what we get called, and I hate, oh my goodness, I came, and we usually get the Mother's Day, Christmas, and Thanksgiving. They come in to see their family, they haven't been here for a while, and oh my goodness, my mom's falling, she's not able to take care of me, there's rotten food in the refrigerator, and Ronnie, we work with you, and we work with Judy at the Y, placing people at that time quite often, and we work with Sue a lot, because but if we can get that taken care of before it gets to that level, we can keep those people in their homes even longer by putting home delivered meals in, by putting services in, and then helping them as a group, and Martha, you see it all the time, making that decision to go to senior housing or to go to an assisted living quicker, and giving them those supports.
Beth, with all due respect, I'm County Commissioner Jim Eckstein. You said lots of times you want to hear seniors' input into this situation.
Mm-hmm.
All these people are here that want to talk. I'm sure they're happy. You gave us an overview.
I think the public comment's out for me, isn't it?
Okay, I know that, but you're strictly limiting their time. You're taking up a lot of time. These people are here who want to speak. Okay? It's not a law that says you can't give more than 10 people the right to speak. All I'm saying is, you've said 4 times to us you want to hear input. Here's all these people to do input. Maybe you can consider, this board would consider changing the rule to include more people to speak. And let's get on with it, okay?
When I'm
Thank you
done
very
with my
much.
report,
Oh,
we can
okay,
then
okay.
start the public speaking period. Hi, how are you?
Very
It's
well.
nice to see you. So that's kind of it with the senior center portion of it. There's some other things we wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about the wonderful event that we had, the tornado night. Was that last week or the week before? We used that as a AAA event to reach out to get more people in to acknowledge our services. And that event, we had close to 100 people there. It was wonderful. We talked, and you guys were there, and Dolores was there. We had we went over advanced directive, living wills, the post form, and guardianship. And we had individuals that had disabled children there. We had individuals that were just going through the aging process. And I thought it was a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful evening. And we want to try to attempt to do at least 3 or 4 of those programs every year. And that was our first one that we kicked off. I think it was very successful. We're planning on doing one in June. I have a meeting on Friday to finish up the planning on that. And that is going to be on elder abuse, financial abuse. We're also having the AARP coming to do some talks on sales tax and about how sometimes you get charged sales tax for things that you shouldn't get charged sales tax. The new elder abuse task force members will be there, which is a very exciting thing. We just started meeting several months ago. The district attorney is on that, Scott Raskowski, and we have representatives from most of the area police forces that come to that group, and it's a way for us to work together to help identify what the signs are of abuse and what we can do to help with that. We are doing 2 separate trainings. One will be in June. I don't have the date right now for police force. It'll be in the morning and in the afternoon for signs of abuse to look for and how to work with us. We are also going to probably in September do one for clergy. For the clergy council that we thought would be helpful. You're a member of the clergy, because sometimes that's who's calling us with reports of abuse, and unfortunately we want to give you guys the tools. So the elder abuse task force is very, very exciting. The police are very excited also because they are seeing a lot more of that in our community. Do you have a question about that?
Question, I'm sorry, I don't know the rules and I don't want to break them. I just was wondering if the clergy were going to be invited to participate, and you answered that question.
Yes, that's going to be in September.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So the elder abuse task force will be kind of kicked off at our June event to the public. We are also, sorry, I'm a little bit off track now. I think that was really it. Oh, our home improvements that we're doing, the ramps, the stair glides, the roof replacements, those type of things. We are getting a vast amount of feedback on those, and we have put a number of ramps on individuals' houses. We've widened some doorways, put in new toilets, put in tub cutouts, all kinds of things like that. I think we're close to how many 100,000 have we done with that so far?
Almost 200,000.
Yeah, we've done almost 200,000 in home lots for individuals. So that's a real compliment to my staff, getting out and getting them assessed, getting those the bids on it, and getting those projects done. So I think that's all I have for my report.
All right, thank you for that report. Move on to the visitor comment period. Forgive me for maybe slaughtering the names, but I will call off the names as Rose, Slopage.
Sloop.
No,
Okay.
Somebody checked me in, I'm.
Okay. How about Walter Clark? Walter?
Clark.
Clark, okay. Please stand and tell him.
I'm from Butler Senior Center. And my question is for Mr. McCarrier. Mr. McCarrier, why do you say that you don't have to do your job at a public meeting with the area aging on this meeting here? You told us that you don't have to go around to talk to the citizens. Jim Eckstein is doing your job for you. And my question is, why don't you want to do your job? You're just supposed to be the president, and if you don't want to leave, then get out of the way. That's all I have to say.
I think that you have,
I visited the senior center, so I've never said that I didn't want to come.
It's public record, sir. Yes, it's on TV.
All right. Next is Henrietta All.
Well, I didn't sign, but, I mean, I
Oh.
evidently signed up at the desk, I don't know. I'm Henrietta All, I go by Kitty. I am not too much at Butler, but I am at the city all the time. And I kind of have the same question. Jim, who I just know through, Jim has visited and been there, and I find the other two commissioners don't seem interested in what the seniors, I am a senior, they don't seem interested in what the seniors have to say. And it really bothers me that they were elected officials who need to hear everybody, whether you're 10 years old or you're 100 years old. They need to find out what's going on. And my concern is not for my husband and myself as far as the senior center, because we are still active, we can go where we want, we can do what we want. But we have people in our center. We have one who's in a wheelchair who loves to play 500. She's not going to go to Cranberry.
Well, and Henrietta, you and I have talked about that extensively, which I've taken a lot of that feedback, that Evans City for 3 days would be perfect
Right,
for
it
those
would be
individuals.
perfect. We didn't
Exactly,
care
and that's
if
what
you
we
cut
came
the
together
hours.
by you and I talking. And as the other two commissioners, when they have issues with seniors or whatever, they call me regularly to
I
ask me
understand
about
that, but they have
issues.
not showed their face to the
Well,
people.
Yeah.
And I mean,
That's right.
I'm really not picking.
Right.
I just don't understand, if you are an elected official, we felt like we got kicked. I'm sorry, but that's exactly how, we felt like the rug was being pulled out from under us without us having any input.
And we do apologize for that. We know that things got misconstrued in the media, and we apologize. And that's why, Henrietta, you and I have been working so closely together when I'm down,
Right.
And we're hoping that we alleviate
I
your
hope,
fears and I've
because
been out there.
that particular center, from my experience,
Exactly.
needs to be a community
I
center
agree 100%,
for
Henrietta.
people who cannot go
Yes.
to Evans City. That's the only
Yep.
thing I have to say.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Henrietta.
All right. Aloysius All?
Nope.
No,
No.
nothing, okay.
Anybody else need help? They want to-
Is Eva Artman?
Yes,
Yes, Eva.
Hi, Eva.
hello. I'm Eva Artman, actually. I'm from Winfield Township,
Yes.
senior citizen, that's southeast. And I do agree, Jim was there, and we learned a lot from Jim. But anyhow, I would just like to, I'm not going to stand up and say a lot of stuff about traveling far for senior citizens or anything. I just wanted to go a little bit different on my little speech here, and to say the senior citizens have a God-given right to have a senior center that is close to them, close to their home, where they feel comfortable. Their friends are there, they've known them for years. I know one lady that's been there over 10 years, and she loves it. They all love it. We play cards, we do a lot of things. Everybody that comes in is so happy to be there, because otherwise they're going to be staying at home, watching some boring TV, staring out the window forever. And we really would appreciate it if we still had our center for these people to come to. Thursdays, sure, there's a whole lot of people. Sometimes there's 30 people that are there. But I've talked to mostly all the people there, and they said they will not be coming to Butler.
Right.
They will not be
We know
coming.
that, yes.
They will not be coming, and I won't come to Butler either.
Right.
A lot of people, they drive to the senior citizen center. I'm afraid to come to Butler, and they're the same way.
Exactly.
So we're going to have a center that's going to shut down. Sure it will. It's going to shut down. It's on the list.
It's on the list that we're doing discussions, but it's not on the list to be shut
It's
down.
shut down. That's what rumors I hear.
Right, well, that's the problem, is rumors, and I think at many of the centers, if you go out, I've given my business card, I've given you my cell phone number, people know how to get in hold of me, and I have. If they have any questions, they can call me, so that these rumors, I feel bad that people listen to these rumors and they get so worked
Right,
up.
we
And
do,
Ronnie and I have
yes.
had conversations about how it's just upset, it's
Yeah,
just,
okay,
I
all
get
right.
upset when you guys get upset.
Okay, and we do, because senior citizens don't like
Right.
change.
Exactly.
We like everything to be comfortable, same thing year after year.
Right.
And these people that aren't planning on getting on the board bus even to come up, they'd have to like 6:30 in the morning get up
Right.
and eat, get dressed, and get on the road. And these people are like in their 70s, 80s, and 90s. There's several people there that are 93 even. But anyhow, if the center does get closed, that would be a grave injustice to all the people. We have rights. Seniors have rights, just like children have rights. Different people, nationalities have rights. And we think it would be a grave injustice if our Winfield Township closes. We really will. And these people, and me included, we've gone through a lot. And everyone's going to get old someday.
Right.
And I hope that they all have a good place to go to.
I do, I'm getting there closer every day, and that's why I want to get everything in place before I get there.
And they aren't going to be thinking, oh, our kids will come around, because our kids have jobs and other
That's a big
things.
problem that we're
They
seeing,
do.
the kids aren't.
The kids don't,
the family
you get a phone
nucleus
call
isn't
once
there
in a
as
while,
much.
that's
Right.
all, yeah. And so I really would appreciate it if this would get studied more, and Winfield would be included in one that will stay open. Thank you. Thank you. Next is Connie Collier.
Yes, I'm Connie and I'm from Shakora. And I'm really going to go out on a limb here and say that I don't want the center to be there for 3 days. I think we should continue 5 days. How are we going to make our noodles? We work 2 days at our sweatshop. We work 2 days. And if we go down, hey, I play cards. Sorry, I'm not going to give up my cards. Nobody else is going to give up their painting classes. We need that center open 5 days a week if we want to keep this fundraising going. Okay, and we also need to keep it in the same location. I know that the church graciously has offered us. We're in the center of the town. We're right where people are. We are established there. We had tree trimmers adjacent to the alley cutting down trees here a year or two ago. Dot went out, sold them noodles and relish. They're from apple butter. They're from out of town. So now every time they trim a tree, where do you think they come? They come to see what we have for sale. We are established there. We have the space there. If we go out to the church, I understand the shed's going to have to be put up to keep our supplies and stuff in. There goes their taxes. There goes their heating bill. Hey, it will be much better. Please, just try to keep us open for 5 days. I know this 3-day thing, it sounds great, but we have to have days to work. If we're going to do our work, we also have to have days to play. So,
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Kathy Clark?
That's
Clark, sorry.
I'm from Butler Senior Center,
Hi, how are you?
and I too would like our center to stay open 5 days. I think we have the best location we can possibly get, right in the center of everything. Ample parking. We have, if you count all the storage rooms, we have a total of 7 rooms that we're renting down there. And Tanglewood has been over backwards to do what they could to keep the senior center there. I know that last year they cut the rent in half even, and I know what they're paying, and I don't think we could rent an apartment hardly for that anymore, and much less loan a commercial place. I believe that we have all the area that we would need if we wanted a walking program. We can go out and walk around the parking lot, count it off. Our people need to count. We not only have lunch people, we have our card players, our Pekina players, and we're excited about our game night, and there's so much
That was a
going
wonderful
on.
thing that we suggested to them that has started.
Yes, and our white elephant sale, I suggested that one, it's going great. There's many things going, many activities going down there. And the people like it because the parking's easy.
Right.
You walk right in the door, you don't have a long way to walk. Silver Sneakers are there. Many people go to Silver Sneakers and then come over to the center. We have everything there and we need to keep it there. We need our 5 days a week and we need advertising. Nobody has brought that up, but we need advertising. We need to get the word out that we have these senior centers that are doing so much in the community.
Right. I did talk to the management company, and they gave me all the advertising that they've done so far for the senior centers thus far. So I have all the Butler Eagle ads that they run weekly, the senior news, they put on Facebook. They do the supper clubs on the Butler Radio Network. They advertise on the Armstrong TV, the Butler Eagle Bulletin, because that's been something that we've really been pushing. And believe it or not, with the advertising, with our other programs and expanding, especially in Slippery Rock, we really encouraged them when they got their new manager to work with Slippery Rock University to bring in more programs, to offer more diverse. Some of our attendance is starting to go up, so I think these 6 months working with the new company, well, really we're into 8 or 9, that the numbers are starting to go up, and we're looking at new programs, and I think it's starting to work.
Well, I haven't seen the advertising in the Butler Eagle or anything, but I'll certainly watch for it. But we need to get the word out. If you want to get the numbers out, get the word out.
Yes.
Take advantage of George's monthly dinner and tell the people there, well, hey, we want you to come. You know, nobody ever mentions it. And most of those people are seniors that are coming to that dinner. We have a lot of opportunity to advertise, and we just need to get the word out and keep our center where it is. We're happy, we like it, we don't want to change it.
Thank you.
Next is Commissioner Eckstein. Would you like to speak?
Yeah, I'd like to say this. You know, when I started the Slippery Rock kicked off the. I got a packet of letters, all the commissioners did. I was very concerned about it, and if there was any concern one way or the other, ambiguity about me, there sure wasn't by the time I hit the 4th or 5th center. It's very moving going to the centers, the camaraderie that you have there and the fellowship, and you know, a lot of people when you get older, you lose your spouse or you're lonely, and I think it is, I couldn't be more impressed. So, you know, I don't think, I just can't. Each one was special to me. You know, that I went to. Shakora had something different than Slippery Rock, but I think we need to improve on that. And I know not enough people know about it. I'm dead sure about that, and I'm dead sure that we didn't do enough to get out to the public about this issue. I'm certainly against all this fundraising. I think Jim Cafala said it best there in the paper recently. He said he was dead set against the fundraising. So am I. I want the seniors to fundraise for themselves to go on a trip. I don't think the money has to go to the central office to have Beth or anybody decide what trip Slippery Rock goes on. If they raise the money in the center, keep it for your own trip. Don't raise any money. Let's make this clear. I was talking to Rich Fink, the County Commissioner, Armstrong County. They have zero fundraising, zero. You know, if Butler County was a poor county, it'd be different. Look, they took away Sunnyview from us, from the seniors. You know, Medicare cherry picks. They cherry pick the Medicare, no matter how we got an A person to start to run this, and I agree with that. But they cherry pick who they take, and the county did not. I was against selling Sunnyview. I'm against hurting seniors by closing the centers. Now here's the ironic part. They said the state controls all this. I heard this over and over from Beth. Look, the royalties from underneath Sunnyview are $600,000 last year. $600,000. Do you think we need to have seniors making soup and noodles at the centers when under this ground right here, 180 acres, that we got $600,000? Now, if we were poor, you know, Armstrong County can't hold a candle to us. Armstrong County doesn't charge the seniors anything. I don't want to give out a free lunch, but they worked all their life and worked hard look, if they earn the money and make noodles, go on a trip. Go on a bus trip. They can decide. Butler County is not poor, and ultimately, I want everybody in this room to know this. This is an advisory board that was hand-selected. I've been county commissioner for 3 years, and I've never had the opportunity to have anybody on a board unless it was specified by law that I got to appoint a person, okay? Jim Eckstein has never said, as the minority commissioner, I have not put out for any person I know to get on a board, okay? Unless it was specified by state law. So I have not done that, but let's make this clear. The commissioners vote on the expenditures, okay? The advisory boards, whether it be Parks and Recreation or Area on Aging, they make the decision. The commissioners should not use it as a scapegoat to say, we can't do what we want. We have that ultimate ability. The commissioners vote. You know, we can decide one way or the other. That's where it falls. So don't let Bill McCarrier and Dale Pinkerton or any other candidate tell you can't do it or we don't have the money. Okay, we're very lucky to have this impact fee money. We got $3 million in 2 years from impact fee money. We have the royalty fund money. You know, royalties. You know, now we don't know when they're going to turn off the gas spigot or not. That may be true, but shouldn't we take some of this money and give it to seniors? This was the whole. Thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you all for all your comments. I think I've went down the list and caught everybody that said they'd like to speak.
I just have one summary, but I didn't get a chance to sign in because she stopped here. My name is Peggy Abersalt. I am Commissioner Eckstein's administrative assistant. I am an attorney by vocation. One of the wealth of information that's out there for seniors is the National Council on Aging. It's a wonderful website. They provide much research, and aging centers have been researched from their inception of the late 70s all the way through. One of the strongest research says that senior centers that thrive in their local communities, where they have their community, where they know where the change is, where they have their support groups, is what makes them stay and flourish. And that's what will make them stay over funding cuts, over consolidation considerations. They stay local. That's what makes you strong.
The comments that everybody has made to the board will certainly be considered, and to Beth, we will all consider all these excellent comments. Excuse me. And next, I guess it's closing the meeting. The next meeting will be Tuesday, May 19 at 2015 at 10 o'clock at this room. And then is there a motion to adjourn the meeting? Dolores, second. Carol. Thank you.
Thank you for coming, and make sure you have some banana bread. I'm really upset.